This is Straight Talk with it clever native Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shannon Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fan, the Preacher Man.
Hi, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and the host of the Straight Talk Around the World with Shannon E. Jones and Cynthia Waters. Tonight, Shannon's going to be joining us a little bit. We have a special guest, Brother Ronald Allen, who is a community organizer and a preacher, and he's going to be a part of our program tonight as we discuss labor issues, what's happening with HR, that's the House bill, 1319, where they're talking about creating, doing away with the labor regulations that deal with contractual employees and regular employees, and looking at change it easier for you to become a contract employee as opposed to a regular employee by being a 1099 employee where you have to pay your own taxes with no health care, no vacation, no sick leave days, no holiday pay. Whoa, no pension. Well, you better listen, because we're going to be talking about it in a little bit, and when we're going to be talking about, and here's the question to be asked of them. Do you think that Donald Trump knew what Epstein was doing, and do you think that Donald Trump was involved in what Epstein was doing? Well, we'll be back on the other side with Miss C, and then Ron Allen, our special guest, a community organizer, along with my co-host, Shannon E. Jones. Don't you go nowhere. We'll be back on the other side right after Miss C. Miss C. Miss C.
Hi, Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast, or more or less. Hey, Bishop Greg. Hey, Pastor Shannon. Hope you all are doing well. Well, listen, I've got some information that I want to share with you. The Children's Soar Incorporated and Liberty International Church will sponsor the 4th annual Back to School Drive August 2nd from 12 to 4. Come and enjoy free haircuts, a bounce house, food, school supplies, giveaways, games, technology, and of course, a lot of fun. Meet us at Liberty International Church, 1362 Metropolitan Parkway in Atlanta. For more information, call 404-345-8325. The president and CEO of Georgia Stand Up, Deborah Scott, is having a house party in celebration of her birthday, August 8th, from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Movement Center, 2366 Sylvan Road in Atlanta. This is a fundraiser to benefit Georgia Stand Up. The event will include food, drinks, spades, dominoes, dancing, and more. That's August 8th. Okay. Now, Flipper Temple AME Church at 580 Atlanta Student Movement Boulevard in Southwest Atlanta invites everyone to their Fit for Learning Health Fair, August 2nd from 11 to 2. Come out and enjoy good food, health screenings, dental cleanings, prostate cancer education, vaccinations, free school uniforms, school supplies, and a lot more. Fit for Learning Health Fair is sponsored in part by the Brogdon Firm and Murray Brothers Funeral Home. Reverend Elijah Shafar is our lead pastor. Call the church for more information at 404-522-5020. Now listen, before we leave, there are 4 things I'd like for you to do. Okay? I'd like for you to, what? What's my first thing? I'd like for you to subscribe. I'd like for you to like us. And those little buttons are right there on the front. And number 3, leave comments. Let us know how we're doing, okay? And 4, I'd like for you to share us. Don't keep Straight Talk News to yourself. Let everybody know about Straight Talk News, okay? And if you'd like for us to announce your event, just email it to me at 1362. I'm sorry. Let me start over. Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. That's Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. And listen, in the meantime and in between time, may the Lord God bless you real good. Okay? Bye now.
How are you? Well, we're back with my co-host Shannon E. Jones and Ron Allen, community organizer and preacher. So you got preacher man, preacher, and preacher. And the preachers are here tonight to have much discussion about various topics. I told you what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to start off with the labor topic. House HR. This is the House of Congress, the Congressman's bill, the Congresswoman and Man bill. That's in the Congress. Now we talk about the Congress people. The Congressional Congress, because when we talk about the Congress people, like, oh, we're talking about just no, it's a Congressional Congress that we're talking about. Those that are the 2-year people. To put it like that, not the 6-year people, the 2-year people. So we can clarify. We're talking about the 2-year people that's running in 2026. All right, that's what we're talking about. Well, they have passed a bill, and in that bill is dealing with contract workers and regular employees. Well, as you know and may not know, contract workers, they get a 1099. That means that they don't get any benefits, no health care, no vacation pay, no sick pay, no holiday pay, none of those kind of benefits that the organized labor have worked for employees. But what we're seeing, the trending is now, is they're hiring more contract workers working with no benefits, and this law is going to help clear the way to make it even more clear for this to happen. And we got more people being hired as temporary workers with no benefits. So if there are no benefits, well, just take health care, for instance. Most companies pay for health care, right? So if you do not have health care, how do you now get to see the doctors? How do you now, if companies start saying, well, we're going to start hiring contracted workers, so then you can figure out your health care yourself, right? That's a major thing for most people, especially when all the things that's going on with this big ugly bill that's taking away a lot of the things that we've been used to having. So we're going to ask Ron. I got a question for Ron and Shannon. I want to find out how you guys feel about that. What do you think? And Shannon, if you don't mind, I'm going to let Ron start first, and then I'm going to let you jump in and give your opinion. Come on, Ron, tell me, what do you think about that in terms of that bill?
Bishop, we're currently in the nation in a worker consciousness crisis. Over the last 10, 15 years, a lot of industries have been deregulated according to this same practice of taking full-time workers that are doing the full-time work of the company and the industry and contracting that work out to subcontractors where they can pay workers that are doing the same job, working at the same level, and they can pay workers half the amount, deny the benefits, as you just mentioned. When I worked for the UAW, United Auto Workers, and we were on the Nissan labor campaign in Canton, Ohio, that was one of the major worker issues, was that the corporation, Nissan at the time, was eliminating full-time, full benefit jobs and subcontracting out to a third-party employer, bringing in employees from the local labor pool, but offering them half the pay of Nissan, no benefits. When we look at the growth of Uber and Lyft and these industries and their expansion and how they were able to define their workers as contract workers, Bishop, Amazon does this with their drivers. So we see large segments of the economic and employer-based pool for workers in America being successful at defining the conditions of work as contract labor. So the company is off the hook for insurance. And these are leading to elevated profits and elevated profit margins for CEOs, for board members, for the stock exchange. And it's resulting in many more American workers taking home less money, having less protection, less benefits. And it's becoming a very difficult way to get workers together to talk about these elements in their respective industries. If you're working in the industry of transportation, are you talking to anybody in education? Are you talking to anybody in manufacturing? How are American workers having the ability to connect with each other, to organize on these issues? I think that's one of the things we kind of come in to grips with as this type of legislation is becoming more and more common.
Well, I want to say this, Shannon, before you make comment. This law has been in existence since 1938, but they want to change it. They want to change
Right.
it. And so, I mean, I want you to understand they want to change it because they're creating this whole climate of people having to be coming in as contract workers and having to pay their own taxes on the money that they made. So you can give me your 2 cents and 5 cents, and which you probably going to be about $50 worth of comment.
It's the Fair Labor Standards Act and the National Labor Relations Act, and it's been there for years, as you said. But true to form, we are watching the marginalization of various different groups in this country, and this is just another attack on the working class, on the working poor. On labor. This movement called MAGA is actually a movement that it's a movement in name only, in the sense that it's a two-headed monster. One, you have a mass movement of folks that are dissatisfied with what's going on with the Republican Party. And so you have these swells that come, for lack of a better word, these outbreaks that happen within the party, the Tea Party, and other things. These outbreaks. But then you have another class that's a donor class, that's a billionaire class, and they don't care about the working class MAGA. They don't care about working class Democrats. They don't care about working class independents. They don't care about blacks, browns. They don't care about anybody except the fact that they want to get all they can and can all they get. And so what this potentially does is it just strips and further marginalizes American workers. That's what this is, and it's no different than stripping and marginalizing, further marginalizing the brothers and sisters in the Latino. It's no different than stripping and marginalizing African Americans, taking away SNAP, taking away much of the and there's a danger in this, and I don't want to go too far. There's a movement in the absence of a Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is absent, and the reason why it's absent is it's a party just like Republicans. It's a party of folks that get elected. I'm talking about the electorate. They get elected, but they do the work of the donors. Everybody's doing the work of the donors. Everybody is caring about the large money donors. They don't care about the base until it's time to get reelected again. And so, in the midst of a crisis like this altering of the Workers' Rights Act, or the Fair Labor Standards Act, the altering of that, the absence of a political response to this is because the Democratic Party has lost within it. It has lost its core. It no longer fights for the working class. It no longer fights for poor families. It's all the way out on some extremes, and it's gotten away from the core. So there's no response and no fight for this. And in a climate like that, it just allows the donor class that is hiding as MAGA, that's hiding as Trump, to continue to move on, and whatever that donor class wants, this Congress is going to absolutely give it to them. I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to shut up.
Okay.
What's the commonality between all of the groups that I've talked about? So when we talk about movement, when we talk about organizing, Ron said something about, if labor, are they speaking with the education? When we organize with the Brown, when we organize with the Palestinians, when we organize with everyone, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a mass movement to begin to fight back what this donor class is doing, hiding behind a Trump and hiding behind the MAGA movement, if that makes sense at all.
Well, to your point, a couple of things I want to say on that. One is, it's definitely a front of organized labor. Definitely a front of organized labor. And if people who say, well, we don't need the union, they don't do nothing to take our money. But the union has been the impediment against these kinds of things that you see now in terms of your benefits. Now you're finna lose a possibility of losing those benefits because you have not been a part of organized labor. When we talk about organizing now, organized labor, that's what organized labor do. But when you don't have the density, you don't have people that understand the bigger picture in terms of how you're going to be affected. You wouldn't have health care if it weren't for organized labor. You wouldn't have overtime if it weren't for organized labor. You wouldn't have all the benefits and stuff that you enjoy today that you say that ain't going nowhere. This whole theory of, we got to worry about this ain't going nowhere. We're going to have this forever. Well, we done found out that we ain't going to have it forever, because if we don't fight to keep it, and I'm going to use this language tonight, if we don't fight like hell to keep it, we ain't going to have it. That's just real talk. So we have to come together to fight like hell to keep it, but we don't, we're going to lose it. And we have to organize, as you said, groups that understand that the Heritage Foundation and those people who have all that money, they could care less, based on all they could really care less about us. Really, they're looking at the profit margin at the end of the day is what's going in their pocket, so they can still fly on their big plane, be on their 4 or 5 different yachts, live in their yacht, 4 or 5 different homes. I mean, that's what they care about. They care less about the regular man and how the regular man is going to make it. So this, and Ron and I talked about this earlier in terms of this whole thing, and Ron, I want you to jump into it on this point here, that whole thing in terms of where we are, in terms of where we were in 1938 and where we are now. I mean, in terms of the movement and why we have not moved the needle when we had people who were Democrats that was there. What happened then? And it goes back to your point, is that you follow the money, both local, I don't care if it's national or local. I mean, your local politicians just as guilty as the ones on the national level. They follow money too. The donors. They do what the donors say do. They don't do what the people say do. Looking out for the people. You have, I ain't gonna say all of them, but you have too many of them who follow the donors, and they concern themselves less about the average citizen that out there. And we as preachers, we have to stand up for that, because we stand up for the least, the less, the lost, and the left out. Because I'm not personally trying to go to hell, because that's what Jesus said. If you don't, you're going to hell. But Ron, you may want to touch on that a little bit, and then we're going to move on to our next topic.
Well, I do want to give a little bit of light on how political labor is in this country. When you talk about the National Labor Relations Board being passed and created in 1938, at that time of the labor movement, labor activists were absolutely on the receiving end of civil rights level terrorism from employers. Employers at the largest industries like Standard Oil, GM, they would be hiring entire police districts to put down strikes, to violently break American workers who are on the picket line. I mean, this was a major effort by American employers to limit the creation and expansion of worker rights to begin with. So when we get legislation in the late 1930s in the 1940s on through the New Deal and through the Civil Rights Movement. One of the big issues we have as, laborers and organizers today is that we've been unable to update that legislation. The National Labor Relations Board being passed in 1938, it should have an update in the 1970s, in the 1980s, in the 1990s to really accommodate how labor is constructed today. The second thing I want to say, Shannon, when you bring up MAGA, and Bishop, your point on elaborating the impact of MAGA, because I do think they are the authority behind this movement that is limiting long-held American civil rights and labor rights. But MAGA are working class people. These are working class white people who are consistently vocal against their own interests, to vote on the side of their employers, to vote on the side of the people who are holding their states hostage in terms of education. When you look at the MAGA base in places where MAGA is dominating politically, these are not the states that lead American education. These are not the states that lead America in renewable energy and expanding the American economy for all types of people. These are largely Republican-led states that are at a near supermajority at the state level. They are ramrodding legislation that continues to shackle their own hands. I would love to get y'all opinions. Why are white working class voters so motivated to vote against their own interests? Shannon, when you talk about bringing different groups together, still the largest demographic is the white, middle, and working class that cannot be pried away from the Tea Party when they came out, that cannot be pried away from Donald Trump, that cannot be pried away from George Bush, even though these political figures continue to increase the national debt, decrease American jobs. Why are white working class voters still so connected to hurting themselves?
I have a simple couple of lines on that, and that is that there is a kind of ignorance cloaked in privilege that is white supremacy. And when they really study racism, they're going to see that it's a high form of mental illness. I mean, this notion of white and this privilege, this American privilege, that when you come to this country, no matter if you are a white, if you are a light-skinned Cuban or you are a European, you come to this country and there is a jacket that you can put on as long as you can fit the jacket. And that jacket is whiteness. That didn't exist. That jacket of privilege didn't exist when Irish needed not to apply. When Italians, who consider themselves white today, when they were told that they need not apply, that they don't need to try to come in and to assimilate in any kind of way. This mental illness, this white supremacy privilege that is trying to combat the brand of America will exert itself to an extent, Ron, where someone would cut off their own arm, cut off their own nose, cut off the head of their own child to keep this privilege, to keep this supremacy, to keep this mental illness continuing. And so I think that there is a dualness to this. Whereas, yes, you're poor white, or yes, you are working class white, or yes, you are middle class white, but you're one paycheck away from being poor or being out of your home and your family, and so you're struggling. So there could be solidarity with others there. But I choose not to go there, because what is more important to me is this jacket of privilege, this white supremacy privilege that I have. And so my argument would be that they would turn in that direction, even despite their own, to cut off their nose despite their own face.
Well, let me just go back to history. Let's go back to history. back to when we had slavery, and you had the master who employed poor, marginalized Caucasians to be the whips for the slave. And they made them feel that they were a part of them when really they were doing what they needed to do for themselves, because it was ingratiating them, because their plantation, they were making money off of the cotton. They were making money off of what the slave was producing, and they were using them, putting them in the huts, like black folk was in huts, maybe a little different hut, but still a hut. And they were still subject to, in the minds of those upper class, those millionaires or billionaires, or whoever they were the ones that were benefiting, but they didn't see it, because just like Shannon said, it was the white privilege, because they said, because your skin, you're one of us. I saw a documentary from a white gentleman who talked about this, and some years ago talked about how they fooled them to believe that they were a part of them, but they really wasn't, because when you look at the big bill, it's going to be more of them that's hurt in the big bill by Medicaid, right? Some of the programs, that are being cut out, the educational piece, all those things, they're going to be hurt. But as you said, it's a self-inflicted wound. That's a self-inflicted, but they're more concerned about the color of their skin, that we're part of this, and we all right because of the color of our skin. But the reality of it, they're suffering and will suffer as the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But they're so ingrained into what Shannon said in terms of the color of their skin, the privilege because they have the color of their skin. So they would rather go with the color of their skin than to look out for their own best interest, because they don't see the importance of their own best interest, because they feel that they're part of the group with the millionaires and the billionaires, but they're not. They just don't see that. They're blind to that. And really, some of them just don't care. They don't care. As long as my skin is this color, I'm good, right? So to your question, you asked that question, I'm giving you my opinion, because I believe that that's what it is. It is just white privilege. It's just white privilege.
And it's not rational.
It's not.
It's not rational. That's the key to it. It's like, I hope you're not asking me to rationalize it, because Ron, you can't. You can't rationalize it. Ultimately, it's against the interest.
When the top 1%, the employers, because they're the ones who benefited by this bill 1319.
Absolutely.
They get they declassify large portions of their workforce, forcing them into 1099 independent contracts, making a large, maybe over 50-60% of their workforce now is off their payroll, is off health care. They pay their own taxes. They get absolutely no benefits. So we see a unified collective effort amongst the employers and ownership class, supported by a large section of the white, middle, and working class. So if you're an African American laborer, if you're a Hispanic laborer, if you're a woman laborer, and you see this unholy connection between the powerful top elites and a large section of our middle and working class, how do we make these alliances? And is it enough power left over in this, whoever's left out of this faulty collaboration between the top 1% and they MAGA minions? Do we have a legitimate opportunity to pass legislation that will give us new workers' rights and benefits, like a 4-day work week, like raising the federal minimum wage to $20 an hour, or trying to improve working conditions still in migrant farms, in factories? Are these realistic legislative goals for American workers right now? Because to me, they seem questionable.
Well, let me just say this. Let me say this. I think that organized labor has got to get itself together too. Because I was at a meeting the other day, and it was said that many of them know that they voted against their best interest, right? But it's not enough of them to admit it and to come into that. But you have to keep on chipping away. You have to keep on chipping away. You have to keep on chipping away, because my belief is, when you put money in my pocket, I'm good. When you leave money in my pocket, I'm good. But when you take it out, I'm mad as hell, right? I'm mad. So when they hit rock bottom, they see what's really done happened, they're going to be running to the union. They're going to be running to be a part of organizing something to deal with this. But why can't we prevent it before? Why does it have to happen before we get mad? Why does it have to? Why can't we hear people telling you what's going, like Project 2025? You were told about Project 2025 months and months and months before it happened. You that Donald Trump lied to you to say he didn't know nothing about it. You let him lie to you to tell you that he was going to lower this, he was going to do this, he was going to do that, and all the things he said he was going to do, he didn't do, and not doing, and he's putting this country in a hellacious situation. That's just real talk. Nobody respects us anymore. But listen, I want to move to another topic right quick, you guys, for the sake of time. I want, since I mentioned Donald Trump's name, you know, you got this thing that's going on, look like the party splitting up around this one issue in terms of the Jeffrey Epstein thing. I want to ask you guys a question. Did he do it? Do you think he did it? Did you think he's guilty of being a pedophile, dealing with his kids? Do you think that he did it? What's your? I'm gonna start with you first, since I started with Ron first the last time. Do you think he did it? Do you think he's guilty of it?
If there's any guilt anywhere, Donald Trump is a part of it. Anywhere. Period. Full stop. He's absolutely guilty. Now, I do believe that he didn't know anything about Project 2025, but you got to read. So that I believe that you know, his daughter said his deal was keep me out of jail, and y'all can do whatever you want to do, because I'm gonna get rich as hell while I'm in office. Because that's all I know how to do is make deals. So I'm gonna use the presidency to make a bunch of deals. But to Epstein, I got a suspicion that this Epstein thing is more than just politics or politics. I don't think everybody that's down the party is there because they love it. Machiavelli asked, was it better to be feared or is it better to be loved? Machiavelli said it's better to be feared than it is to be loved. Trump is Machiavellian. He has no love, and as a sociopath, perhaps has no ability to be able to show love. But he does know how to exert fear, because he's a very afraid person himself. He's a very insecure person himself. And he's the type of guy that we were on the playground. He talk all that stuff. You just sit there quietly, you bust him in his nose one time. And you won't have no more problems about him ever again as long as you're on the playground. Trump, I believe, is being sacrificed. I believe that the party needed to ride in on him. But I don't believe that he is the party's long-distance runner. And I believe that when you start having cats like Bannon and all these guys who are just really drilled in to this notion that they can run the executive for the next 50 years, and they're working to make sure that the Supreme Court and the Congress, that all three branches work together, and that those powers are under the executive branch, and they want to do this for the next 50 years. When you have a plan like that, a cat like Trump is not your long distance, because you can't trust him. You don't know what he can do, and he is legitimately the president. He legitimately has presidential powers. Where's J.D. Vance? Where's J.D. Vance with all of this? They're saying they want to expose deep state. That's what MAGA said it wants to do. So the Epstein case is connected to deep state. If we can get into Epstein, it's the doorway into the deep state thing, because they quote unquote believe that there's this deep state. And Trump has been saying, look, let's get off Epstein. We can find the deep state somewhere, but let's get off Epstein, because he knows he's in Epstein. He is completely complicit with Epstein.
All right, thank you for your opinion. Hold on a minute, Shannon. Thank you. Hold it right there, because time is wasted. But you'll give us $100 worth now. But let me hear what Ron had to say. Do you think that he's guilty of that with the pedophile, being a pedophile?
Yeah, he's 100% guilty. The Trump Epstein bromance, 2-decade-long bromance, by the way, is 100% proof that if you want to do dirt in America, do it out in the open, because America will convince itself that the crimes that you are just perpetrating in full view of the public are anything else but what their eyes are telling them. I challenge anybody to go to my social media and see some of the people I hang out with. Like, see who the people are who keep showing up in my pictures on social media, and for the time period they keep showing. I guarantee for those people who show up, whatever they did during that time period, I did it with them, and vice versa. There is no way you are hanging out with someone, you in videos with that person, you riding on the plane with the person, y'all give interviews in separate news media, calling each other your best friend for 10 years and 15 years, dude showing up to multiple of your weddings. He's in deposition. Jeffrey Epstein is in a legal deposition under oath when asked if he were ever with Donald Trump with underage girls present partying. Jeffrey Epstein had to plead the 5th Amendment, the 3rd Amendment, the 14th Amendment. This man pleaded the whole Bill of Rights to avoid answering that question. And we have done Donald Trump the greatest favor in the world by, after all of this common sense and detailed evidence, we still ask the question, did he do it? Yes, he did it multiple times, and they'll still be doing it today if it wasn't for whatever got these men in the trouble that they got in. So yes, he did it.
Yes, he did it. Yes, he did it. Yes, he did it. He like P did it. He 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 did it. Listen. I mean, what got me with this whole thing is that when I learned that when he got involved with Melania, she was 17 years old. His wife, his present wife, she was 17 years old. She was a minor then. He was fooling with her at 17 years old. I mean, it's clear as the nose on your face. Don't talk about whether or not he was messing with little girls. She was a little girl at 17 years old. And all that he did to get her to be a United States citizen and bring a family over and everything. Yeah, he married her at 20, but he was fooling with her at 17. So let's be clear about this. Yeah, he did it. Yeah, he did it. And when you have Margaret Taylor Greene saying she want to see the file, I mean, you got different ones saying they want to see the file. Yes, to your point, Shannon. Yes, there's some afoot about this, and they're not going to kill this. They going to ride hard on this. And I don't care what Mike Johnson say, and I don't care what some others don't say. You're going to see this Republican maggot party, you're going to see them split on this issue, and something is going to be done about this issue. But one of the things I want to leave you guys with as we get ready to leave, we have to be very, very careful about the people that we're electing. When we have people who we have elected in Georgia who would not vote, and I said this last week, to impeach Donald Trump. When they had opportunity to vote to impeach Donald Trump, they did not vote. For whatever reason they did not vote, they didn't do it. Just not looking out for the people. When you have people like Lucy Macbeth, and I'm calling her name, Lucy Macbeth, who did not vote, but then would stand up there with Hakeem Jeffrey when they were talking about the big bill. She up there clapping and clapping and clapping about the big. We had a big bad bill if she'd have voted to impeach him. And other Democrats, to your point, Shannon, if other Democrats would have voted with Al Green, we may not have been dealing with what we're dealing with now. But at least we would have had a clear message that he should be impeached. Right. It was Sanford Bishop who's been there too long. It's time for him to go too. He's been there too long. Because the reality of it is, why you did not vote to impeach this man? Why? You can't. For me, you can't justify that to me. You can't justify that to me.
Bishop, let's do this. Let's part two this, because I definitely want to come back to this Epstein thing, because I'm really looking at this and I'm wondering if they know that Trump is complicit. Why is MAGA pushing for the files to be open? Even though they know Trump is in there, why are they pushing for it, other than the fact that perhaps this is the kill shot to get this? I shouldn't say kill shot, but this is the thing that they can use to get him out of the way.
Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Yeah.
With JD and continue to keep moving. So watch this. I believe there's some tricks to this.
Well, I believe that too. I agree with you, because Vance is very quiet. Right, Vance is very, very quiet, and then he's saying some stuff to make Trump look bad too. He is. So let's come back. We'll come back with this. Ron, thank you for sharing with us tonight and being a part of Straight Talk around the world with news and information with your host Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones and Cynthia Waters. Ron, we look for you to come back again to be a special guest with us with more information right here on Straight Talk. This ain't been nothing but what? Straight Talk.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fan at FAN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shannon Jones and Greg Fan, the Preacher Man.